Gaza protests meet Israeli unrest, a region on edge. Is the ground shifting in the Middle East? Unprecedented protests are emerging in both Gaza and Israel, revealing deep-seated discontent with existing leadership. This convergence of unrest paints a complex picture of a region grappling with internal strife and external pressures. Recent reports indicate growing demonstrations within Gaza against Hamas's rule. Frustration is mounting over the dire economic conditions, lack of basic services, and the ongoing cycle of conflict. These protests, though often suppressed, signal a growing desperation among Gazans. The protests are fueled by widespread poverty, unemployment, and limited access to essential resources like clean water and electricity. Many Gazans feel trapped, with little hope for a better future under the current regime. The situation is further complicated by the ongoing blockade. Hamas's response to these protests has been met with criticism. Reports of arrests and crackdowns on dissent raise concerns about human rights and freedom of expression within the territory. The international community is watching closely. Meanwhile, in Israel, large-scale protests continue against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. The demonstrations are driven by a range of issues, including judicial reforms, corruption allegations, and the handling of security concerns. The political landscape is increasingly volatile. The proposed judicial reforms have sparked widespread outrage, with critics arguing they threaten the independence of the judiciary and undermine democratic principles. The protests have drawn Israelis from all walks of life, united in their opposition to the government's agenda. Netanyahu's long tenure as prime minister has been marked by both successes and controversies. The current wave of protests reflects a deep division within Israeli society and a growing demand for change. The future of Israeli politics remains uncertain. The simultaneous protests in Gaza and Israel highlight the interconnectedness of the region's challenges. While the specific grievances differ, both sets of protests reflect a desire for greater accountability, improved living conditions, and a more stable future. The situation is highly volatile. The convergence of these protests could potentially create new opportunities for dialogue and cooperation. However, it also carries the risk of further instability and escalation. The international community must play a constructive role in de-escalating tensions and supporting peaceful resolutions. The path forward remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the status quo is no longer sustainable. The voices of the people, both in Gaza and Israel, must be heard. The future of the region depends on addressing the underlying grievances and working towards a more just and equitable society. Stay informed about the ongoing situation in Gaza and Israel. Support organizations working to promote human rights, provide humanitarian aid, and foster dialogue between Israelis and Palestinians. Contact your elected officials and urge them to advocate for a peaceful and just resolution to the conflict. Share this video to raise awareness and encourage others to take action. Your voice matters.